when I took Judah away, Verrill actually felt left out. He felt like, why am I operating like I'm a single mother? When he said that, it just brought so much light into like my actions and the kind of impact it had on him. So after that, I realized that, okay, sorry, I'll never do that again.
Hello and welcome to the Connect2 Marriage Podcast. I am Delia and I am your host for this episode. In each episode of the Connect2 podcast, we'll be tackling questions that couples ask about marriage, communication, and conflict, and so much more. We hope you will keep tuning in to learn with us as you grow closer, deeper, and stronger in your marriage. Every season of parenthood comes with its fair share of joys and satisfaction, especially when you're first transiting into parenthood. Everything is new, and there are so many changes to get used to. It can sometimes feel like there are more questions than answers, which brings me to today's topic on how to support your wife through first-time parenthood. Supporting each other in this fresh and challenging new season is so critical, and today I'm so glad that we have couple coaches Verrill and Charlene Chew in the studio with us. They are first-time parents to 5-month-old Judah, and they run a couple coaching business together called Covenant and Vows. In today's episode, we are going to focus more on Charlene's needs as a new mother, and in the next one, we will zoom in on Verrill's needs as a father. Welcome to the Connect2 podcast, Verrill and Charlene.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us
Lovely
here.
to have you here. Can you share with us and the listeners, introduce yourself and some fun facts about yourself?
Okay, so I'm Verrill.
Yeah,
This is my
Charlene
beautiful
here.
wife, Charlene.
We've actually been married since 2008. Yeah.
No, we met in 2000.
Oh, sorry. We met. We met in 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mummy brain.
Yeah. Met in 2008. We got together in 2011. We've been married since 2013. And one fun fact is we've been working together side by side every day since then.
To really expound, right? Like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for 13 years now?
Yes.
Yeah.
And after all of that, we are still not sick of each other. We are still not bored of each other. In fact,
More in love with each other.
That's so warm and encouraging. I mean, I can see how Verrill and Charlene are exchanging very loving glances with one another, and I can really sense that there is this sense of strong bonds, playing team, right?
Yeah.
So to Verrill, bring us back to when you first held baby Judah in your arms. Can you share with us your first thoughts, joys, or perhaps even fears as a first-time dad?
even till now, right, when I carry Judah, I'm still thinking like, is this real? But having said that, when I look back to the first time I picked him up, right, I still remember the kid. He looked so cute, just so cute. And the new thought that came up was, I'm already 40. The male life expectancy is 92. I have 52 years of my life left. That was a very clear thought. And then the question was, what am I going to leave behind for him before the end of my time?
Yeah, and we're not talking about money, not just money, not just properties, right? But like our life skills, what
are the messes I made? What are the mistakes I made? He doesn't have to repeat.
Yeah.
What are the things I learned? He can learn earlier, faster. How can I best support him so he can really stand on my shoulders?
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Verrill. Yeah, Charlene, I wanted to ask you, right? Like, because you are the one carrying Judah in your womb, and even before Judah was born, you were already starting to bond very closely with him. Tell us more about the emotions or maybe the experiences you felt when you first discovered that you were carrying Judah. How has that been like in the lead up towards his arrival?
When he was in my stomach, there was still a certain like disbelief. Verrill and I, we've been waiting for like 10 years for our baby, right? So it just felt like I constantly had a food belly rather than a baby in my tummy, because we love buffets, right? So food baby, I mean. I think the key moment was when I first held Judah in my hand. Yeah, when I looked in his eyes, like just getting that, wow, I'm a mom. Like, I'm really a mom. Like, the first thing I prayed, right, was actually for my daughter-in-law. Because I love Verrill so much. The kind of chemistry, the kind of partnership that we have together, right, is just out of this world. Yeah, and I want Judah to have that because, I know that we'll never outlive the boy. Yeah, so I want him to experience what the two of us are experiencing as well, that companionship, that partnership, that chemistry, that love. Yeah, so I prayed for my daughter-in-law.
So this is really quite funny. Like, first couple of days, she was like, "Oh, I just prayed for our daughter-in-law." I was like, "What?" And then about a week in, then she was like, "Oh no, one day he's gonna get older. He's gonna get married. He's gonna leave us." I'm like, "What?" He's only a couple of days old, but anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, that is very insightful, right? Because as first-time parents, what really starts to sink in is really not just about this child that we have in our hands, but it's also a life that is going to be stewarded for as long as we live, right?
Exactly.
And one thing I realized shifted, right, was I stopped thinking like my generation, but like multi-generation. Like thinking to even like Judah's generation and his children. Yeah. Like my perspective just extended. Yeah.
And I do hear that quite often as well from new parents, and they start realizing that they do things that they never thought that they would do before they were parents, because they start thinking beyond themselves. And it also sometimes, while it might bring about some stretch and challenges, but it also brings that sense of larger than life kind of purpose, right?
Exactly.
And that we look beyond our immediate needs and actually consider the child's well-being. It's really about recognizing that putting the interest of the child, recognizing that when we do that as a family unit, it brings about a greater growth. Is one. Actually, I'm also wanting to find out, Charlene, when you transited into your new role as a mom, what were some things that you discovered that you had to start embracing? And as part of having to take care of an infant, what were some needs that you had to start learning how to articulate?
I think it started very clearly during my pregnancy. I realized my brain started getting slower and slower and slower and slower. And this is totally not me, because usually I'm switched on. And who he knows me to be is someone who's always switched on. He can always rely on me. Yeah, but as the pregnancy progressed, I started dropping the ball on a lot of things. Pregnancy brain is really real. Yeah, to the male listeners out there. The pregnancy brain is really real, right?
Yes, husbands, yes. It is real for the wives. I thought it was just kidding, and I thought it was just articles written by wives who were tired. I get that they are tired, but the truth is we are never pregnant, right? So we will never know how tired it is.
And the funny thing was, the minute Judah came out, the very next moment, my brain just switched on. It was just like a light switch. It just switched on. Then he was like, oh, my wife is back.
Yeah, really. It was so weird.
Yeah.
Because after a while, I really got that she was really tired. It was really hard for her. So we've been working together side by side. So the load has been pretty settled. Everything was running. And then suddenly she's dropping a lot of things. I had to pick up more things naturally. And then it came to a point where, wow, I can't count on her the way I used to count on her. But there's nothing wrong in that. It's just that she's going through this season of hers. And then
growing a whole new person.
And then when the baby popped out, I was like, wow, my wife is back.
Yeah. I had to learn how to communicate, like my brain slowing down. Yeah, because he never experienced it, right? So how do you share with him, like, something that he has never experienced before? It took the two of us having like multiple conversations about it until like the later point he actually got it, that it was real.
Right. Let's talk a little bit more about that, Charlene, because you sound like you're a go-getter, prior to Judah's arrival, and then having to go through this so-called slowing down, but actually it's really your body's way of just recalibrating, all the nutrients that needs to go into nurturing a life in you, right? But how did it feel like, in terms of your sense of identity, your sense of worth, in being able to not perform or achieve what you used to be able to at the same level of competence or maybe speed, but yet at the same time recognizing you had to start processing it yourself first before you could talk about it. Tell us more about that process.
Marriage is one of the most rewarding things in life. Yet, navigating marriage as newlyweds or an engaged couple can sometimes get overwhelming. Whether it's managing expectations of the in-laws, getting a good grasp of your family finances, or establishing good habits of communication and healthy conflict. Focus on the Family Singapore's Marriage Preparation Program aims to help you build a solid foundation in the early years and prepare you for the adventure of your life. Visit family.org.sg/C2 Marriage Prep for more information today.
So one thing that the two of us, we have been repeating, right, is what Heidi Baker shared: go low, go slow. Yeah, so it's something that has been resonating for us this entire season. So I've been like telling myself, let's slow down. And if I'm still dropping more things, right, I slow down even further. Yeah, until, I feel like everything is more stabilized. And the identity part you mentioned is actually really real, because I've always related to myself as, like someone who, I can do anything. I can do it fast as well. Yeah, and I can do multiple things like in one day I get a lot of things done. It definitely added to, that accomplishment feeling that I felt. Yeah, so to go from that to, I just managed to sleep through the day without having a reflux. That became an accomplishment for me. What got me through that was actually talking to my husband as well. Yeah, he actually helped me process like how I was feeling, and that was actually so critical. So Verrill actually played a very important role in like helping me process that.
So Verrill, like what led you to help or have these conversations with Charlene? Because on the external, it might seem as if all things are status quo. All these things that are happening to Charlene, like in terms of her internal thoughts and struggles, like if she hasn't surfaced it out yet, you wouldn't know. Yeah. So what prompted you, and how did you start having these deeper conversations with her?
So we've been side by side for many, many years, months, days, and hours, right? So actually, it's quite easy for me to pick up when she's a bit off. Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah.
So,
and we actually talk a lot.
Yeah, we talk a lot.
Yeah.
So when she's off, I don't have all the answers. I will never be pregnant. I have no idea what pregnancy brain is, but I have a pair of ears.
Yeah, and
So-
I think what really worked was like you just listening
Yeah,
to
just
me.
listening.
Like not giving solutions.
Yeah, correct. So husbands learn this. I had to learn this early on. Your wives don't need all solutions from you. You're not God. But they need a ear. That's why you're there.
Yeah.
So yeah, just having conversations, giving her space to be, just checking in on her. Yeah, that's it.
And many times, right, it's just the simplest hug, right, that can get me through the day.
A lot of encouragement as well. Yeah, because during this time when she's getting more uncertain of herself, I also don't know what's happening, but all I can say is you're doing a wonderful job. The baby's getting older. The baby's getting cuter and rounder from the pictures and the sonograms and everything, right? And I don't know how does this work, but it's amazing. And you're doing a good job.
So words of encouragement, lots of comfort.
Yeah.
We're in this together.
Yeah.
So no solutions. Yeah, no solutions. Yeah.
No
Husbands,
solutions.
no solutions. Yeah, but really hug, kisses. Yeah, whatever your wife wants lah. Yeah.
So Judah is now 5 months old,
Yeah.
and I believe there has been lots of adjustments required for the both of you and also for the household. Would you be able to share with us, is there any incident whereby there were a bit more of a conflict or friction that came about through this transition phase?
So prior to Judah, we have actually come to a point where we have resolved all the issues between us.
Yeah.
Like, I mean all by all.
Yeah.
So there's nothing left to resolve.
Yeah.
But something new came up because now we are a new thing. It's called a baby. So one long, dark, tiring night at, I don't know, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever it is, I woke up to make milk for the baby boy. My mistake, the water was too hot. I didn't check. I put it in his mouth. So instead of happily drinking milk, right, he started screaming and crying. And I was like, oops, I burned the baby.
Yeah. I was so upset with him. I immediately took Judah back. Yeah, and like death stare.
Death stare, no.
Yeah.
We had a conflict there. We had a fight there.
Yeah.
We spoke about it. We were upset about it with each other.
When I took Judah away, Verrill actually felt left out. He felt like, why am I operating like I'm a single mother? When he said that, it just brought so much light into like my actions and the kind of impact it had on him. So after that, I realized that, okay, sorry, I'll never do that again. No matter what, you are the daddy of Judah. I'm the mummy of Judah. I'm not more important than him. He is not more important than me, but we are going to take care of Judah together. So after that, this was one thing that we actually resolved.
So one of the new emotions was like, wow, we could actually feel excluded by one party being overprotective of the child, which was something we never considered. And after that, we're like, okay, so from now on, we make sure none of us ever felt excluded that way. That was a new fact.
Yeah, I think that is very insightful because inevitably when mums have this protective behavior of just saying I know better, let me just do it, right? Or how is it they forgot this detail of checking before, but let's face it, we're all just so sleepy, right?
Yes, exactly.
So in that moment, I can imagine how tense it was because I could totally relate to an incident like that. Coming back to having this conversation, right? It's saying that, hey, we're actually a team.
Exactly.
Right? And I trust your good intentions.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that it was actually not so much that you were neglectful, not so much that you were deliberately doing this to harm baby per se, but it's more of like actually let's help one another out here. And actually, Verrill, your intention was really to be a supportive husband.
Exactly.
Yeah. But in that moment, it might have been easily forgotten from a mom's point of view. Yeah. But thank you so much for being so honest with that incident. I know it's really raw to actually touch on something like that. At the same time, paints a very realistic picture of the real-time struggles in such moments of attending to baby's needs.
Yeah.
As you share, I'm also reflecting about what it looks like for parents who are, thinking about transiting back to work. Because first-time parents, after welcoming baby, they adjust into having baby in their household, everything. Then a few months later, if mom chooses to return to work after maternity leave, it's another round of adjustments. Yeah, share with us some of your perspective and how are you also working together as a team on this?
Firstly, we are a bit different because we are running our own thing. Even now, right, Judah is 5 months, but we actually intentionally set the business aside. All 100% of our time is actually poured into the baby.
So what that means is, finances-wise, your finances are going to dip. We're dipping in our savings.
Yeah.
Yes, we're putting more attention on him, which isn't something that everyone might agree with. But it's a very clear choice that we made anyway.
Yeah, our priorities are very clear.
Our priorities are very clear.
Yeah. We have had friends saying like, hey, we haven't seen you in a long time. We just explain our situation. Yeah, and our friends get us. They get it.
But I think it just comes down to priorities. But even if you choose to go back to work, there's no wrong in that.
Yeah.
Then go back to work. But time is really limited. You only have 24 hours a day. You have to be very clear what you're segregating your time and energy into. I believe that when your priorities are clear, it's easy to actually just do life.
I think what it sounds like to me is that as a couple, the both of you are very aligned in your goals for your life. And I think life is really seen in a longer term perspective rather than in just this fraction of, these early years, right? That really requires a reprioritizing or adjustment of our lifestyles perhaps, right? And various things that will require a collective decision as one team, husband and wife. Yeah, so thanks so much about sharing the perspective and the principles that led you to make this decision for your household. Next up, actually in every podcast, we address a frequently asked question that couples have about marriage. And today's question is from a mom. She says, I gave birth to our first child in February this year, and in the first few months, it was quite difficult caring for baby as baby has reflux and often fussy at certain times. I've complained to my husband that I really need him to step up and help. As a team player in this new chapter, I can see that he's trying, but he still doesn't seem to understand what I need him to do the most. How can I help him to do better as a husband and new dad? Sounds like a question for you, Charlene.
So I really love this mummy, like the question that she's posting, because in this, right, I can actually hear, your commitment to your family. So well done, mummy. Your question was, how can I help him do better as a husband and as a new dad? I would say, you can help your husband become a better husband and daddy by becoming a better wife and better mother. Okay? And how do you do that? It's actually with tools. What is missing for you, right, is simply tools. Just to give you an example, right, back then when Verrill and I, we were actually assembling our racks in our storeroom, we had to use a hammer to assemble it. So when we were assembling it, we actually used a hammer and we put a rug on top and we started hammering. And we realized that, hey, it's a lot of work. It was very loud and the grooves, it just wasn't like connecting properly, fitting, right? Yeah. And the next thing Verrill took out was actually a mallet. Yeah, and when we hammered in, it was so much softer and it got the job done.
Yep.
Yeah, so what's missing for this mummy, right, is actually just tools. What she needs, right, is actually just tools. And as mummies, right, because we are so tired, we are tired all the time. So what we need, right, are actually more effective tools. Yeah, because we have no energy, we have no time. Okay, so the first tool that this mummy can actually use, right, is to, number one, segregate, right, her wife request versus a mummy request. Yeah, because suddenly, right, not only is she a wife, but she's a mummy. But many fights actually happen, right, because many mummies actually tend to segregate my needs and requests as a wife versus as a mummy. They're actually fighting about many, many different things. So that's why it seems unresolvable.
Yeah, oftentimes the fight seems really messy and unresolvable because there are multiple contexts behind it.
Exactly.
Yeah, like what a mother wants and what a wife wants is radically different.
Yeah, like what I want from him as a wife is a hug and a kiss. What I want from him as a daddy is for him to read to Judah, for example. Yep. It's really different. First tool would be to segregate and communicate that clearly to your husband. Like, okay, this is my request as a wife, or this is my request as a mummy. Okay, so that's tool number one. Number two, to be specific. Okay, so the example I like to use is like lemon. Okay, can you go and cut lemon for me?
Okay, I cut.
Okay, very good. So then Verrill will give me like a lemon that's cut in half. I'm like, no, that's not done correctly. And Verrill actually gets frustrated. Then how you want me to do? I need to cut it properly.
Okay, then I go back to the kitchen and cut again. I now cut into fours.
Yeah, cut into four. That's still not what I want. What are you doing?
Yeah, don't cut already lah.
What do you mean don't cut? Then what? You want me to do this all by myself? That's why a lot of husbands will always say, I do also wrong, don't do also wrong. Then the wives would say like, yeah, I keep asking him to do, he doesn't do it the way I want, or he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Right? So a tool for the mummy, right, is to be specific. Okay, I want you to cut it in wheels, like thin wheels, or I want you to cut it into wedges. Yeah,
So this is real. In our house, right, if she ever asks me to cut something, I actually ask her, what do you want? You want wedges or you want wheels? And if she tells me I want wheels, I actually ask her, how thick are your wheels?
Yeah.
I mean it, because there has been time I gave her wheels and still not right.
Wheels have to be a certain size, right?
Exactly.
If not wheels are like tires,
Okay,
right?
sure. Yes.
Yeah. So to this mummy, right, the key thing, right, is to be extremely specific such that there is no room for interpretation. Yeah, like really level up your communication.
To the wives, just know that husbands are not mind readers.
Mummy, so you can actually help him become a better husband and better dad by becoming a better wife and better mother. And you do this by segregating your wife and mother requests and by being extremely specific in your communication. And once you do this, right, you actually experience less frustration, with your husband. Okay, you experience more love and happiness in your marriage, and your baby actually grows up in a home that's full of love and full of happiness.
Thanks so much for sharing that. I think it takes a lot of deliberate effort, to really bring about this team concept come to life, especially when you're adjusting into your life with a child in the mix, right? Yeah, and I think it's easy, even though we're married, but as husband and wife, you are very independent on your own, right? But with a child, we are actually really hoping that each person can pitch in, wherever possible. And that's where communication is needed, because you cannot anticipate or assume that the other party knows what to do, especially when babies' needs actually change every other month in the first year, right? Yeah, so thank you very much for sharing with us your personal journey, and I can't wait to actually discuss in the next episode as we look into the needs of a first-time dad with Verrill. So in each podcast, we end off with a couple challenge for couples to do and share with each other. And if you're listening to this with your spouse, take 5 minutes to share with each other your thoughts and fears about embarking on your journey towards parenthood if you're not already a parent. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast, and do tune in to our next episode to hear more from Verrill and Charlene. We believe you found today's episode helpful and encouraging, so do share this podcast with a friend who might also benefit from it. For more marriage resources, you can find us at www.family.org.sg for latest articles and programs. Thank you for tuning in, and don't forget to stay tuned for the next episode.